BlackRock's CEO just made an insanely evil announcement, while new footage from UVU just destroyed the official narrative about Charlie Kirk's assassination. And all of this happened at the time when the president awarded Charlie the Medal of Freedom in a grand ceremony.
On September 10th, 2025, at age 30, Charlie Kirk was assassinated while addressing a group of students. The United States honors him as a martyr for truth and freedom.
How beautiful is that music?
Perfect. You always choose the best.
You know, he used to love being on the patio.
I know.
Remember Charlie down on the patio?
He loved the patio.
He could sit there all night long listening to this music.
I know.
Doesn't matter if you liked Charlie or not, his support for the freedom of speech alone deserved this kind of recognition. Of course, he also created a grassroots movement of young Republicans that just didn't exist before. And this is exactly why we need to also punish the people who were really behind his public execution. Now, I've made a lot of videos covering all the shady things about that shooting, but I was mostly working with the footage that was taken on September 10th. However, now there's someone who walked the grounds of UVU and showed us all the other angles we could not see before. The channel is Paramount Tactical, and Gary, who runs it, showed us exactly what you have to do to get to the roof.
Hey folks, Gary here with Paramount, and we are here on location at Utah Valley University, and we're on the roof. And this is the little, and this little, I don't know, little wall is no more than 3 feet tall. But folks, right there, right over there is where the shot allegedly came from.
Look, we already knew there was some kind of railing or wall that you had to jump over to access the roof. However, looking at this footage, it becomes clear that even though most people can easily jump over it, it will be really hard to do if you have a huge gun taped to your leg. You would need a lot of scouting and preparation to get to that roof without any problems, but according to those fake text messages, Tyler only started plotting this whole thing a week before the shooting.
Roommate, how long have you been planning this? Robinson, a bit over a week, I believe.
So how did he manage to get there so easily when he couldn't even walk properly? Now, in this same video, Gary also talked about the camera that gave us this infamous footage.
That surveillance camera right there on the edge of that roof, that's where we've already seen footage from, and that without a doubt has an entire view of this location. So
he's absolutely correct. The camera would have been able to record the moment the gun was fired. It would have been able to record the shooter assembling the gun, but none of that was shared with us. Instead, all we got was grainy footage of someone running away from that roof. Now, you can check out the whole video on Gary's channel, but I want you to see one very important thing he shared in another video.
hey folks, Gary here with Paramount, and we are right at the exact location. I know a lot of people wanted some video. I got a lot more video.
Those trap doors are still there, but they are locked, so we cannot see what's under there. But apparently Ian Carroll saw what's under there, and he shared it with Jimmy Dore.
And so there's actually two hatches. The one that's open is further away from the wall, and then there's one that's closed a little closer to the wall. The one closer to the wall just had like a sump pump kind of thing in it and was just a little hole in the ground. But the one that is open in this photo does have more space underneath it. It's like an open chamber that I don't know how far it expands in any direction, but I was able to see that there was hosing coiled up in the space beneath that clearly extended outwards in directions.
So it's not a really small space, and someone could easily be down there. Of course, even if it was some kind of tunnel, we would never know since they immediately renovated the entire thing, and they even did some work on the roof.
Let's see what are they doing, because I see a lot of construction smoke going on. Oh no, they are constructing, they are taking out the whole platform where he was sitting.
This is the courtyard where it all happened. The university is already making some changes. They're replacing the grass where Charlie Kirk was speaking with pavers.
Now, the obvious question is why, but there's one more question we need to ask. This kind of work usually requires contractors, of course, and permits. So how did UVU manage to hire them in such a short period of time? Of course, these questions will remain unanswered, and pretty soon anyone who even asks these things will be labeled a conspiracy theorist. That's what they always do, and unfortunately, I think that's what's going to happen here as well. But I'm just going to do my job and show you how all those so-called conspiracy theories are becoming true. I mean, did you hear Larry Fink talking about the tokenization of every asset?
You know, I do believe we're just at the beginning of the tokenization of all assets, from real estate to equities to bonds, across the board. The next wave of opportunity for BlackRock over the next tens of years, as we start focusing, moving away from, traditional financial assets.
Yes, pretty soon these giant corporate landlords are going to start gobbling up even more homes and turn them into digital assets. There are so many problems with this plan, and you can see many videos on housing to fully understand what's going on. However, right now I want to show you how the World Economic Forum is basically certain that we're going to start seeing tokenization of our traditional assets like real estate by the end of this year. And it's all thanks to none other than Larry Fink.
When Larry Fink gets on television the next day and says, this is just the tipping point. This is the tipping point towards tokenization. The tokenization of financial assets broadly and of other types of property is going to change the way the financial industry works. It's going to, change access to finance and financial products and other things, which I deeply believe. I think that's an indicator that, I think BlackRock is perhaps one of the largest securities issuers in the world. And I think it suggests confidence that, tokenization is going to be coming on in a significant way, and that we're going to see some of the very, very biggest asset issuers in the world issuing tokenized versions of those assets this year.
I mean, from what I remember, the US voted against this BS. And yet Larry is openly making his plans to tokenize all of our assets so they can be even more easily tracked and controlled by the government. And all of this is happening when RFK Jr. is in the federal cabinet, and we all know what he thinks about BlackRock and WEF.
This month, the corporate elites gathered in Davos, Switzerland at the World Economic Forum to plan the future for the rest of humanity. Their scheme, which they call the Great Reset, will drain what's ever left in your bank account and strip mine the beleaguered middle class of its remaining equity. During COVID, the WEF actually dictated the lockdowns that shifted $4 trillion upward to this new oligarchy of corporate billionaires. The bankers, the investment houses scooped up our homes, advertising that you will own nothing and be happy. They have a plan, but my plan is to stop them. I've spent a career as an attorney fighting these corporate robber barons in court. I know how they work. I'm familiar with their impulses to commoditize our lands, our waters, our homes, even our children and our workers and our public health. I've proven that I can beat them again and again and again and derail their schemes.
But even he seems powerless to do anything, and this just shows how much control these globalists still have over our politicians and agencies. I'm telling you, it's not long before one of our politicians is giving a speech like this one to announce digital IDs for US citizens.
We will learn from the experiences of other countries, some of whom have had digital ID for over 20 years. Many show us just how transformative this can be. In Denmark, a graduate applying for jobs only has to log into a portal once, and their ID automatically links to their school records, saving them retyping their qualifications each time. In Finland, a parent can go online to register their children for daycare without uploading a payslip or putting in their salary, and the site automatically calculates the right fee. And in Estonia, a digital ID means that when you have a baby, you don't have to go to a local office to register the birth or sign up for childcare benefits or apply for nursery places. It happens automatically from day one in the hospital. So parents are free to focus on what matters most.
Now, since we're talking about politicians, let me show you what Speaker Mike Johnson has said about releasing those files.
Everybody in Congress, I think, is for maximum transparency of the Epstein files. That is underway right now. Let me point out before I go forward further, all of the files were in the possession of the Biden-Harris Department of Justice for 4 years. Every single thing that we're talking about right now was in their sole possession. They could have released it. They could have done anything. Ro Khanna, all the Democrats who are jumping up and down making noise about this, didn't say a peep about it for 4 years. I don't know why, but this is another partisan manufactured thing. Is it a serious problem? Yes. I've sat with the victims, some of the ladies who bravely have come forward and talked about the horrors that they sustained because of traffickers on Epstein Island and all the things he was involved in. Everybody involved in that should have the full weight of justice descend upon their head.
Look, I agree. It was not right for Biden to not release those files, but that's exactly why people didn't vote for the guy. Also, let me once again show you what people like Kash Patel were saying before they joined the government.
Well, the Epstein Black Book, like on day one. On day one, roll out the Black Book.
So will you work with me on this issue so we know who worked with Jeffrey Epstein in building these sex trafficking rings?
Absolutely, Senator. Child sex trafficking has no place in the United States of America, and I will do everything, if confirmed as FBI director, to make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened in the past.
He even said this to Benny Johnson.
That Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list, and good for Senator Blackburn to try to get it out. But then Dick Durbin comes over the top and says, no, we're not going to release the names. I don't care about the list itself, but if you release the names, right? What the hell are the House Republicans doing?
Well, now Bill Gates is having private meetings with members of Congress as well as our president, and Kash Patel is telling us this.
You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one?
For the information that we have.
In the files?
In the case file.
Okay.
There was another politician who was just caught lying to us, Gavin Newsom. When Los Angeles was burning down to the ground, I told everyone it was a land grab. I told people how they would use the concept of affordable housing to change zoning restrictions and turn ordinary neighborhoods into a jungle of high-rise complexes. Builder's Remedy basically allows investors to build however many high-rise buildings they want, as long as those buildings comply with California's environmental laws and have 20 of their units set aside for low-income households. And on top of this, you can build in any city that has failed to provide plans to accommodate future residential growth. This law basically compels cities to allow you to build without any zoning restrictions. And this is the most evil thing about this plan. Most families have to pay so much extra to build homes in California because of these damn zoning laws and all the other red tape. Meanwhile, these rich investors can now build without any problems whatsoever. Now, at the same time, Newsom was quick to call me a liar. Well, now he has just officially passed a law that allows 5- and 6-story building developments in single-family homes in areas near transit stations. And this is happening at a time when people in LA are fighting to rebuild their homes since the same red tape makes it impossible to build anything.
Altadena fire victims are also dealing with the costs of rebuilding, and part of it is for county permitting fees that can be tens of thousands of dollars.
Every dollar, especially in permits, in fees, and licensing, everything across the board. None of us have enough money to rebuild. Nobody.
The rebuilding process in Altadena is moving slowly, with some communities suffering more than others. In fact, 70% of all severely damaged homes from the Eaton fire have no visible steps toward recovery.
So that should show you how none of these destructive fires happen by chance. It's all a land grab, and unfortunately, everyone seems to be in on it.